5 investigation and an election protest of a very different kind.
A clear sign from some voters that they didn't like any of the candidates. News 5's James Girardi is at the Board of Elections. James, we're talking about people who didn't vote at all in the presidential election.
Yeah, that's right, Lee. It's called an undervote. This year, a record-breaking 6,500 of them were submitted, and that's not all. 3,700 blank ballots were submitted as well.
Is definitely one of the highest undervote races in a presidential election that I've seen.
Election day lines may have been long, but thousands of these voters weren't voting for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton.
These were undervotes not due to a lack of knowledge. I think it was a protest vote.
6,500 voters left their ballots blank for this year's presidential race. That's the most in county history. So many people frustrated with their choices, they had their voices heard by not voting for a president at all. And that wasn't all. A whopping 6% of Cuyahoga County voters submitted a blank ballot.
If they either leave one or the two pages, that would be called a blank ballot, and we had over 37,000 blank ballots in this presidential election.
So what's a blank ballot?
Think of each voter as having two separate ballots. This is a sample Cuyahoga County ballot. Think of this as ballot 1, page 1, two-sided, and ballot 2, page 2, two-sided. Now let's say I'm only interested in voting in the presidential race and the U.S. Senate race. No races on page 2 interest me, so I leave it blank. But now when I go to submit my ballot, ballot 1 will be registered, but ballot 2 will be considered blank.
So while some stayed home in protest of this election, many showed up in protest and voted.
And to give you an idea of how big the undervote was this presidential election, in 2012, about 30,000 more people voted, but there were half the number of undervotes, around 3,000. Reporting live outside the Board of Elections, I'm James Girardi, News 5.
It has